is what kills, and destroys and confuses, our electrons and protons and, everything in our system. Why? Because we are not following the natural time. It's like, as an example, you wake up. I'll make an example here in South Africa. When you wake up at 6 o'clock, they say it's 6 o'clock, right? And, then at 7, they say it's, 7 o'clock. But then, how do you wake up and you have lost 6 hours, already? Yes. And remember that the calculation of time is based on the rising of the sun. So the hour they call 7, it's hour 1 of the day.
Now it is said the story of creation begins at midnight, the 21st of June. Let me stop right there. Now I understand a lot of us in religious schools who are still like this, even Amadlozis and spiritualists, Bala. They're like, no, the day begins at sunrise, and you are not getting it. The day begins at midnight because that is when the sun comes out of that low point. That low point, that degree of the 21st and the 22nd of June. Remember, the cycle of the year also happens during the 24-hour period. That is why we have a 24-hour or Horus. That's an anagram, hour and the word Horus. That's an anagram. That is why we have a 24-hour period or our day. Now it is said that creation, and you're going to see why this also unfolds so nicely into science and physics, unlike this thing of saying the day begins at sunrise. I'm going to get into it. So now, it is said that creation begins at midnight. For us in the southern hemisphere, that is the 21st of June, when Umalangeni, Umlenze Munye, reaches his lowest point. It is said now in this position, nature is said to be in a state of coma in the southern hemisphere. It's winter, Gyabanda. The heat intensity and heat of the sun is at its lowest point. But this now slowly begins to change from the 25th of June. Our Son and Savior begins to move now from this point. Now, because we are following allegories of the north, we are following a system that was created based on the north. I'm going to use the north as the example or the reference point. Now, if we were in the north on the 25th of December, you just have to flip hours over to see how it works in the southern hemisphere. If we were in the north, we would be able to see the solar deities, the solar deities such as Mithra, Horus, Jesu, Mlenze, why all these solar deities are born at midnight as the celestial virgin Virgo or Isis, Usisi, or Mary is rising in the east quadrant of the sky. All solar deities are born this way, and they are also born of a virgin. I have here the 24-hour clock. I've also added the star signs, if you can see it. Where does the system come from? It comes from the north. It comes from Egypt. The earliest rendition we have of this is from Egypt, or some say it's Sumeria. Whichever, but the oldest one we recognize is the Dendera stone. And these are the constellation signs that were found in the Dendera stone. So why do I say the day begins at midnight? Egypt is in the north. The allegories or the mythologies that were put together to create this system, this is a system, by the way, is based in the north. And so the story says, at midnight on the 25th of December, when this was put together, this you can't see today because it is shifted. You will see this if around 1 to 2 because of the precessional slip. Now, on the 25th of December, the mythology says, in the eastern quadrant of the sky at midnight, you will see the constellation of the Virgin rising. In the western quadrant of the sky, this is where you will find the 3 wise men who, when looking east at the Virgin Virgo, proclaim, "We have seen the star in the east." The Virgin Virgo, or Mary, in Kemet now, or Egypt, is Isis Osisi. In their version of this, you can actually see the woman here. She is the only figure of the woman actually in that image. That is the Virgin Virgo, who would be witnessed rising from the eastern quadrant exactly at midnight, while her son will be reborn out of the stable of the goat Capricorn, which is here. The sun is reborn out of the stable of Capricorn, or in the stable of Jawu, or the stable of Jupiter. In this story, Jupiter is Joseph. If you see this, if you see now the god Isis rising on her right hand side, if you're looking at it while it's rising from the east, to her left rather, looking east, you will find Boots. That's her husband Joseph, who is also called Jawu in some of these other systems. Jupiter is Jawu, is Joseph. When does this happen? It happens at midnight. It starts off at midnight. To add also here to this point of midnight, we can put the winter solstice. From the 21st for 2.5 days to about the 23rd-ish, the sun is said not to be going up or coming further down to this point, the midnight point. And then on the 25th of December now, as the Virgin is rising in the east and the wise men are standing at the west, we say Emmanuel is born. I've not put the hour 1 here because when you lay this out in astrology, you give each and every house 2 hours. The first step out of the winter solstice, from 2400 hours going into 1 o'clock, that is the birth of the sun. The sun is reborn 2400 hours. The day is reborn at 2400 hours. We only experience this or see this visibly at 6 o'clock. From 6 o'clock in the morning, when now the sun is getting into maturity, until it reaches the height of maturity in the month where we have our harvest, and then it begins its decline again. This is a system. I understand you might be those individuals who learn through pictures. Well, here it is. It's a system. To this system, we can also apply cosmology and cosmogony and how matter forms. It is all here. It is not nonsense. Just because you don't understand it or you don't get it, it is not nonsense.